She, every now and then she jumps out of the text and gives you a modern parallel, which is a bit naughty. So she's like the naughty teacher who you always really love because she's she's not quite predictable, but at the same time she's actually really rigorous. So I thought that was really impressive, and I think that she's a god. I mean, she basically is a Roman god, isn't she? She's come down on earth to bring classics back to human civilization.
That kind of enjoyment of the rigour, when she's sort of setting something up in order to basically then take it apart. And find the truth in it, if there is in fact truth in it.
Yeah, like we were saying, exploring history as well as exploring the history of ancient Rome. So it was just so illuminating, and I've kind of forgotten how much I love history, and this kind of reminded me.
Well, for me this is the kind of book that makes me really excited to be a bookseller. I think because it's such an unlikely hit in many ways. It's a book about woodwork. It's a book where someone chops down a tree and makes axe handles and feathers out of sort of arrows out of it. But the way he's sort of so in touch with the medium, with nature, it really brought the kind of this craftsmanship, this kind of centuries, millennia of working with wood. It made me just want to go out and buy lots of lovely wooden things, or even get my chisel out and start.
Bit of whittling.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also nice thinking in the historical context with with the Mary Beard, and then this looking at the longevity and the tradition of all the different specialist, very, very specialist craftsmen that he comes across, who are all such little short story characters on their own. You know, he describes them rather beautifully. And it is immensely tactile as an idea.
I love the way that all the different people with their different crafts relate to the same piece of wood in totally different ways. Some people like it because it bends, some people like it because it's strong, some people, you know, they do all sorts of different things with it, but they all think it's their wood. So, so there's something really primeval about the relationship with wood, because it's always been there.
It's a real, an amazing tribute to the tree. I did like the bit with the baseball bats. It was one of my favourite bits, the way that they sort of cut it out of the middle of the tree. It seemed really...
Strength.
Yeah, it's a really kind of lovely image to imagine the baseball bat just coming out the middle of the tree trying to hold this wood. It's going to make any trip to IKEA seem disappointing afterwards.
This was the first book I read when reading with this shortlist in mind. And I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't read it normally. I liked his kind of blunt, gruff, slightly angry, opinionated but passionate about his landscape and his heritage, in a kind of way acknowledging that it was very tough and that it, you know, it certainly wasn't for everyone. But he relished the seasons, and he loved his lambs, but nothing sentimental about it. It was always quite gruff. And I was amused by his scholarly deviations, where that didn't change him. He was very constant in his kind of character, if you like. I just liked following his life. It was just an insight into a world that, although I do live in the countryside and, you know, our shop is in the middle of nowhere, I'm not on the hills. In fact, one of my staff is actually, we employ a shepherd, and she does Sundays because that's her day off. And she's hilarious. She said she actually wrote me an email. Sorry, it's a total diversion, but she wrote me an email asking for a job about 2 years ago and said, "I'm a shepherdess, running my own." She's literally on her own, running a flock. She's in her early 60s, and I just need to talk to humans actually occasionally. I quite like books. Can I come? I'm a good baker. Can I come and work for you? And I replied saying, "Yes, you sound lovely."
I love the relationship with animals in it, particularly with dogs. And you know, the relationships with dogs are so often sentimentalised, and you know, the way he says, these dogs don't want to have a social life with you, it's all about the work. And yet they have this, you know, instinctive, a reaction that is so, a relationship that is so close that the shepherd barely has to articulate, doesn't really even have to whistle before the dog is doing stuff. That was really,
it's amazing.
It was amazing insight into something, and a relationship that absolutely predates any idea of you know, nice little cosy lap dogs and things.
Yes, exactly.
And I thought there was quite a lot about that. And it's all about the landscape really, but it's also all about the relationship between religion and superstition and so you have this family of Catholic people on a pilgrimage, which is all partly to do with trying to cure the idiot son. And you realise that actually what the Catholic pilgrims, as they sort of are, believe in is just as weird and scary in its way as anything that this strange, very remote, very Gothic community or lack of community can throw at them. This landscape where corpses come out of the water, you know, and what they do to their children is sort of Gothic, really, although they do it within a spirit of what they would think of as sort of Christian caring for them.
It's got just such an unforgettable atmosphere. I thought the whole thing really adds up from a sense of place, right? This sort of religious kind of paranoia hanging over them, the little details of the house, the people that they meet that are sort of so uncanny. There's everything just feels very unsettling, and it's a really uncomfortable book to read in a very, very engrossing way.
And I think it's a book to read with other people, because then you have to discuss the ending, which we can't reveal now, obviously, because we would be spoiling it, but you have to discuss it because it's mystifying.
Yeah.
Properly mystifying.
Yes. I think intentionally as well.
Intentionally,
yes,
probably.
Yes.
I think we all had a different idea of what that was about.
Yeah. A good book group title in that case.
Yeah. It's a book that reminded me of so many other books, like Brothers Grimm and Woman in Black, and seems to borrow from lots of genres, and I agree.
Father Ted put in there.
Father Ted, Famous Five, it's all going on. And so doesn't want to be restricted by that Gothic idea, because I would recommend it to my 14-year-old son. I think he'd really enjoy it, because it's got boys and their sort of world as well, and they really, the brotherly protection is a massive strength of the book, a really strong theme running through it.
Yeah.
And a bit of a departure for him, because he's really known for his Cornwall contemporary fiction, writes amazingly about love and relationships, whether it be between gay people, heterosexuals, love for brothers, sisters, family. And I came at this book knowing that I would find that in Patrick Gale, but actually I found so much more, because it's historical. So he takes us from Edwardian Britain to the sort of 1920s Canadian prairies, and I was literally felt swept away into a new world that I didn't know anything about. So for me it was a book about tolerance, the human capacity for intolerance, and how, humanity's always wanted to sort of quash the things it doesn't understand, but at the same time friendship and persistence comes through as the victory.
I love the Canadian bit most, I think, with the space and the endurance that he went through, but also the friendship with his immediate neighbours and the relationships that developed there. That was very touching, and that was the heart of the book for me. And the kind of the scale of that landscape, the hostility of it, but also the beauty of it, and that when it was good, it was very, very good, and when you were camping with not a plough furrowed, then it was pretty tough, and one step away from losing your life to the landscape.